RuPaul's Drag Race Season 8 is one of my personal favourite seasons, partly because of the amazing queens, partly because it's really easy to binge in a day, partly because of the really fun challenges, but mainly because it's just a genuinely good season. After the mixed audience reaction to Season 7, a season which I personally also love and don't understand the hate for, it's probably just because it came off of the back of Seasons 5 and 6, Drag Race had to find a way to win back the audience. With such a short amount of episodes, it could have been really easy to have this season fade into the background, or just be really messy, but it ended up being a fairly light-hearted season full of fun moments and iconic queens. This is the season that introduces us to the icon and the legend that is Bob the Drag Queen, as well as several others such as Kimchi, Naomi Smalls, Derek Barry, 4G4, Acid Betty, and the late great Chi Chi DeVayne, as well as many others. This is not a retrospective on Season 8 as a whole, that is a video for another day. Today, I'm going to be starting a new series where I look back at certain Drag Race challenges from a production standpoint, looking specifically at the writing, editing and performances of these moments. In this video I will be looking at one of my favourite rusicals from one of my favourite episodes of all time, although that may be just because I'm biased because I watched it for the first time on my 15th birthday, I'm still not sure. Season 8, Episode 2, Bitch Perfect. Again, I'm not looking at the episode as a whole, because that warrants a more in-depth analysis of its own someday. Instead, I'm going to be looking at the challenge on its own to see how fair it really was, because I do believe that there are some challenges in the RuPaul cinematic universe that do not give all of the competitors an equal shot at victory. Bitch Perfect, however, is not one of them. Like I mentioned earlier, Season 8 is the second shortest season of the main series with only 10 episodes, making it a season that is really easy to binge watch. The reason for there only being 12 queens this season was simply because the premiere episode of the season would be the 100th episode of the show, including All Stars, since there was only one All Star season at that point. And so 12 queens were cast on this season so that they could have had 100 queens compete by the 100th episode, and RuPaul mentions it in the first episode that Derek Barry was the 100th queen to walk into the workroom. A thing about a lot of challenges on Drag Race that I do think can be sort of unfair is when they do group challenges with a prime number of queens, which can prove to be a disadvantage in some cases, such as the Bossy Rossi challenge in Season 13, which will get its own video one day because I have a lot more thoughts about that, but in some cases, in musicals such as this one and the Glamazonian Airways challenge from the season beforehand, it doesn't really matter. Well, most of the time, I think group challenges should only be done when there is an equal amount of queens in each group. I don't think it really affected the 11 queens in this challenge too much, since a lot of the roles were pretty much identical. So the challenge itself was to lip-sync a performance to a medley of RuPaul songs, with two teams battling it out. Cynthia Lee Fontaine's team, the Lady Bitches, which also consisted of Bob the Drag Queen, Kimchi, Derek Barry, Robbie Turner and Layla McQueen, and Chi Chi DeVayne's team, the Shady Bitches, which consisted of Naomi Smalls, 4G4, Acid Betty and Dax! Exclamation Point. The challenge is obviously a parody of Pitch Perfect, with two a cappella groups having competition. I really like this challenge because it's just naturally campy and ridiculous, but not to the point where it becomes cringeworthy. I am really curious to know who these singers are, because the vocals are perfect for those classic goody two-shoes and rebellious roles. Also, I want to know how the teams decided who would lip-sync what parts of the song, since vocal consistency clearly didn't matter in this challenge.
Rules are simple. Keep it cute or sashay away.
We'll show you what's up!
There's not really much to say about the individual roles because, again, the roles in both teams are pretty much identical. I do think that the Shady Bitches did have more to work with character-wise, but it really does depend on how the queens performed, and in this case, I think everyone except the bottom three did a really good job here, even though saying that Kimchi was actually really funny and used her inability to dance to add to the ridiculousness of her character and the challenge as a whole, which is most likely why she was kept out of the bottom two, as well as her winning the week before. The other Lady Bitches had pretty much identical characters and choreography, which makes it easier for the judges to see when they mess up or are underperforming. Being in a group with so many others can be quite risky, especially this early in the competition, so you cannot afford to make any mistakes because they will notice, and they will make it very obvious if you are in the bottom, but I'll come back to that later. Layla McQueen had just been in the bottom two the episode prior, even though she really shouldn't have been, and this challenge would have to be her moment to show why she deserves to be there, but unfortunately she just didn't perform as well as the others. As for the other team, I do believe that they definitely had more fun roles, and if I was in this challenge I would love to be a Shady Bitch. But I'm not going to say that this team was designated to win, because there were still a lot of chances where they could mess it up, and they were given slightly more complex choreography than the other team. That being said, they all slayed it except for Dax. If they wanted to, they could have judged it in teams, but I understand why they didn't, though if it wasn't for Dax they probably would have. The top three from this episode were all from this team. Chi-Chi, who rightfully won, since she was team captain and she also had the best individual performance, and 4G and Betty. They could have easily added a 4 or 5 placement for Naomi, but I do think it's really cool that the top 3 and one of the bottom 2 were all from this team, and they even pointed out in Untucked how Naomi was the only safe shady bitch. Not completely sure if it warranted RuPaul's shady comment on the runway about all of the safe people fading into the background, but I still think 4 out of 5 of them slayed. Overall, I think Cynthia's team did really well, but they just couldn't quite match the same level as Chi-Chi, 4G, Betty and Naomi. One interesting thing about this challenge that does have me questioning the production was the Queen's costumes. The Lady Bitches outfits were all pretty much identical, and I assume that these skirts and cardigans were given to them by production, no further explanation required. However, I am intrigued about where the Shady Bitches outfits came from because they're all different. Because I find it hard to believe that production had an I Heart New York shirt just laying around to give to one of the New York queens, and a pair of jean shorts to give to the queen who is known for showing off her legs. We could say that all of the queens were asked to bring outfits in case they were on either team, but I also find it hard to believe that all 6 of the queens just happened to bring the exact same uniform with them. So I'm just going to assume that all of Cynthia's team were given the exact same outfit, and they laid out a bunch of fishnet tights and black heels and black pants for Chi-Chi's team and told them, you can wear anything you want from this table, and if you want Chi-Chi, you can wear your gold sleeveless jacket, and 4G, you can wear your New York shirt, and Betty, you can wear your football shirt, and Naomi, you can wear your jean shorts, etc, etc. Anyway, on to the editing. One thing that used to happen in these types of challenges in the earlier seasons of Drag Race would be that they would label the queens during their individual performances, and in this case they don't label the teams as Team Cynthia or Team Chi-Chi because they feel the need to tell us the difference between the Lady Bitches and the Shady Bitches, in case we can't tell from their vastly different costumes, or in case we miss the fact that the voiceover narrator, who appears for 15 seconds at the beginning, straight up tells us who's who. As for listing the queens individually when their solo moments happen, I can understand why they did that since it was episode 2 and most viewers probably didn't know half the queens' names yet. One thing that Drag Race still does to this day, which is something that does get on my nerves in a lot of cases, is when a queen is going to be in the bottom, they cut to Ru or one of the other judges just looking sort of stink-faced during their performance. Or if they're going to be in the top, they'll be smiling or laughing hysterically the second they come out. But in this case, yes, they do cut to Ru looking concerned during Layla and Dax's performances, who of course ended up being the bottom 2. But in the case of laughing at the top people, yes, they laughed as soon as Chi-Chi's team began their first part, which gave an immediate indication that they were instantly doing a lot better than Cynthia's team. But throughout the rest of the performance, they also smiled or laughed at Bob, Robbie, Derek, Cynthia, basically everyone except the bottom 2. I think this is a really good thing because, well, yes, we can all most likely collectively agree that Chi-Chi's team were the best. I just know that if this was a modern season, they probably would edit Cynthia's team as if they were banana drama. Just once in a modern season, I would like there to be a rusical or performance challenge where they don't cut to the judges at any point or amplify when they laugh hysterically as soon as the winner of the challenge walks out onto the stage, but that's probably not going to happen and I'm just going to have to deal with that. Also, I just want to take a moment to once again highlight how incredible Chi-Chi was in this challenge because she absolutely owned this challenge. I mean, her iconic cartwheel into an upside down lip sync, the way she led her team was truly remarkable. She was such an incredible queen and yeah, we all miss you so much, Chi-Chi. One thing about the editing in this challenge that I find so hilarious and I don't think people talk about enough is this moment right before the grand finale where Kimchi starts performing. And the thing is, like, during the rehearsals for the challenge, Kim, to put it lightly, kept falling over. And so during the actual performance where Kim successfully completes a full spin, and we hear that sound effect that they play when a queen does something miraculous, like when they do an amazing reveal on the runway, so the editors are making it out like Kimchi managing to complete a solo move without falling over is the greatest moment in this entire performance.
Can I get her name?
A few other things I wanted to highlight, such as the fact that I think a few of the lip syncs were so tight that they looked like the queens were actually live singing. Some also unintentional foreshadowing of the songs they performed, specifically Naomi performing to Adrenaline, because she would end up annihilating that song in a lip sync on All Stars 4, and this is going to sound really complicated, but I don't know how to explain it any other way. But, okay, basically Cynthia's team performed to both Jealous of My Boogie and Born Naked, which would both later be performed by Chi-Chi and 4G respectively, both of whom were on the other team on All Stars 3. and both of them ended up in the bottom, though both undeservedly. Also, Cynthia kicking off her shoe and breaking a light on the ceiling, while Betty picks it up while she continues dancing, and then the next episode, Robbie Turner broke a light on the runway with her roller skates. Yeah, season 8 was a destructive season. Plus, Derek giving a little riff during the grand finale, probably inflating the judges' worries of her relying too much on the Britney shtick. So yeah, there we go. That's pretty much all I have to say on this challenge. It's a fun challenge. A lot more fair compared to a lot of the live group performance challenges that came after it, and a lot of these queens did really well. For season 18 they should do a modernised version of this challenge, not saying it's going to come anywhere close to the standard of this, it's just an idea, because in order to make this video I've watched this challenge so many times that I've pretty much memorised every part of it from start to finish, and so I'm most likely not going to be clicking on this video again for at least 2 years. I'd also like to take this opportunity to politely ask World of Wonder to hire me to write the acting challenges for them, or just get Bob. He said he would do it. Also, justice for 4G. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, that's fine. I won't do it again. If you did, then I might do it again, and feel free to offer any suggestions for challenges you'd like me to analyse in the future. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I hope the rest of your day is incredible. Or, you know, as incredible as it can be at the moment.